At its core, Euphoria is about teenagers dealing with addiction, identity, sex, trauma, love, and power. But that description almost undersells it. What made it explode wasn't just the storyline, it was how it was told. The show feels raw, chaotic, dreamy, and uncomfortable on purpose. It mirrors how intense everything feels when emotions are big and boundaries are blurry. Culturally, Euphoria landed at a time when people were already questioning mental health, social media pressure, and how young people grow up way too fast. Rue became a symbol of addiction and vulnerability, while characters like Jules, Maddie, Cassie, and Nate represented different survival strategies in a messed up system. Everyone saw something in it, even if they hated it. Fashion-wise, this is where the show really shifted things. Euphoria basically said, there are no rules anymore. Glitter tears, rhinestones, sheer tops, low-rise pants, baby tees, Y2K references, and vintage mixed with hypersexual styling. It all became mainstream again because of the show. Makeup went from clean girl to expressive art. Outfits weren't about being polished. They were about mood, rebellion, and identity. The genius of Euphoria is that it tells the story before the characters speak. You can tell who's spiraling, who's insecure, who's in control, just by what they're wearing. Love it or hate it, Euphoria changed how TV looks, how teens are portrayed, and how fashion is used as emotional language. It wasn't just watched, it was absorbed, copied, debated, and lived in. In Euphoria, costume design is essential to expressing character and driving the story forward. Clothing functions as emotional luggage, revealing what characters often can't say out loud. Each character has a distinct visual identity that reflects their inner world. Rue's oversized hoodies and muted tones signal detachment and avoidance, while Maddie's bold silhouettes, dark makeup, and hyper-feminine looks project control and confidence, even when she's emotionally vulnerable. Cassie's soft colors and revealing fits highlight her need for validation, while Jules' experimental, playful style reflects exploration, freedom, and identity formation. As the characters' emotional states shift, their costumes evolve with them, marking spirals, power changes, and moments of derealization. The show also uses costume design to blur fantasy and reality, heightening emotion and reinforcing themes of desire, insecurity, and performance. In Euphoria, fashion isn't decorative, it's narrative. The clothes deepen character psychology, shape how scenes are read, and turn personal expression into a visual storytelling tool that defines the show's cultural impact. Director inspiration behind the show. Sam Levinson, the director and creator of Euphoria, didn't just wake up one day and decide to make a flashy show about teens doing drugs and having sex. A lot of the series is rooted in his own life and the environment he grew up in. He's the son of Barry Levinson, a famous Hollywood director, so film was always in his world, but that also meant being exposed early to adult spaces, creative chaos, and pressure. On top of that, Sam has been open about struggling with addiction when he was younger, and Euphoria feels like him processing that period of his life through art rather than glamorizing it. The show's rawness comes from the fact that he actually understands what it feels like to be out of control, numb, desperate for connection, and stuck in cycles that look exciting from the outside but are miserable when you're inside them. That's why the series focuses so much on interior emotional states, the loneliness, the anxiety, the dissociation, not just the wild behavior. Visually, he pulls inspiration from music videos, photography, and European cinema, which is why the show feels so dreamy, chaotic, and overstimulating, almost like you're inside the character's nervous system. The lighting, glitter, slow motion, and intense close-ups mirror how heightened everything feels when you're young and emotions are turned all the way up. He also adapted the show for an Israeli series, but instead of copying it directly, he used it as a framework and poured his own experiences into it, especially through Rue, who seems like a semi-autobiographical character. What really sets Euphoria apart is that it isn't trying to teach a lesson or scare people straight. It's more like an emotional confession. Sam Levinson seems less interested in judgment and more interested in honesty, even when the honesty is uncomfortable or messy. That's why some people find the show disturbing and others find it deeply relatable. It's not polished reality, it's memory, trauma, desire, and regret all blended together. In a way, Euphoria feels like a visual diary of youth filtered through someone who's already lived through the consequences and is looking back with both empathy and unease. Major themes throughout the series. One of the biggest themes running through Euphoria is addiction, not just in the literal sense of drugs, but addiction as a way of coping with pain. Rue's substance use is the most obvious example, but nearly every character is attached to something that helps them avoid the reality. Sex, attention, control, validation, love, or power. The show presents addiction as cyclical and exhausting rather than glamorous, emphasizing relapse, shame, and the constant negotiation between wanting to change and not knowing how. It also highlights how addiction rarely exists in isolation. It affects families, friendships, and romantic relationships, spreading outward and reshaping everyone involved. Another central theme is identity and self-construction, especially during adolescence. The characters are constantly experimenting with who they are and who they want to be, often shaping themselves through how others perceive them. Jules' journey explores gender identity, desire, and the tension between freedom and safety, while characters like Nate and Maddie grapple with identity through dominance, image, and performance. The show suggests that identity at this age is fragile and reactive, heavily influenced by trauma, social expectations, and fear of rejection. There is a constant push and pull between authenticity and survival, being real versus being accepted. Sexuality and power also plays a major role through the series. Euphoria portrays sex as something deeply tied to control, validation, and self-worth rather than simple pleasure. Many characters use sex to feel wanted or to gain leverage, while others experience it as coercive or confusing. Nate's storyline in particular examines toxic masculinity, repression, and how unprocessed shame can turn into violence or manipulation. The series repeatedly shows how unequal power dynamics shaped by gender, age, or emotional vulnerability distort intimacy and leave lasting psychological impacts. The theme of trauma and memory underpins nearly every narrative arc. Past experiences quietly dictate present behavior, even when characters are not consciously aware of it. Childhood neglect, parental addiction, abuse, and emotional abandonment resurface in destructive patterns, suggesting that unresolved trauma doesn't disappear, it mutates. The show's fragmented storytelling and dreamlike visuals mirror the way trauma is remembered, disjointed, emotional, and intrusive. This approach reinforces the idea that healing is nonlinear and often incomplete. Euphoria explores connection and loneliness. In the age of constant exposure, despite being surrounded by people, technology, and attention, the characters are profoundly isolated. Social media, pornography, and digital communication intensify comparison and self-surveillance, making intimacy feel performative rather than safe. The series suggests that beneath the chaos, each character is searching for someone who truly sees them, yet fear, shame, and miscommunication repeatedly get in the way. In this sense, Euphoria isn't about excess, it's about longing and the human cost of growing up without emotional grounding. Costume designer background. The costume designer for Euphoria is Heidi Bevins, and her background plays a huge role in why the show's fashion feels so emotionally specific rather than trend-driven. Bivens comes from a styling background and editorial background rather than a traditional Hollywood costume path. Before Euphoria, she worked extensively in fashion styling, collaborating with brands, photographers, and publications, which gave her a strong eye for how clothing communicates mood, identity, and subculture. That fashion world foundation is why the show's wardrobe feels lived in, experimental, and intimate instead of theoretical or costumey. What really defines Bivens' approach is that she treats clothing as an extension of psychology. Rather than dressing characters to look cool, she builds their wardrobe around emotional states, trauma, and self-perception. For example, Rue's oversized hoodies and loose silhouettes reflect both comfort-seeking and emotional withdrawal. while Jewel's evolving style mirrors her exploration of femininity, freedom, and vulnerability. Bivens has said she avoids rigid rules about what teenagers should wear and instead focuses on how people actually use clothing to protect themselves, express desire, or disappear. Her inspiration pulls from many places: early 2000s fashion, underground club scenes, Tumblr era aesthetics, and real-life street style, but always filtered through character rather than nostalgia. She often thrifts, alter pieces, and custom builds looks to avoid anything that feels overly polished. This method reinforces the show's realism. The characters look like they assembled their outfits themselves, sometimes impulsively and sometimes carefully, often emotionally. Another key part of Bivens' character is her collaborative style. She works closely with Sam Livingston, makeup artist Donnie Davy, and cinematographer to ensure that clothing, lighting, and makeup all tell the same emotional story. That's why a single outfit can feel iconic without being distracting, and it's a part of a larger sensory language. Ultimately, Heidi Bivens' work on Euphoria reshaped how television approached costume design. Instead of fashion as decoration, she uses it as a storytelling, showing how identity, insecurity, desire, and pain live on the body. Her background in fashion, combined with a deeply character-first mindset, is what makes Euphoria's wardrobe feel so raw, influential, and unforgettable. Rue Bennett's costume design across Euphoria functions almost like a visual timeline of her mental state, addiction cycles, and emotional development. Her style is intentionally repetitive, muted, and resistant to transformation, which sets her apart from her other characters whose wardrobes are more expressive and performative. Rue's clothes are not about fashion. They're about avoidance, comfort, and survival through emotional numbness. Season 1: Grief, Addiction, and Emotional Status. In Season 1, Rue's style is defined by oversized hoodies, zip-up sweatshirts, loose t-shirts, basketball shorts, track pants, and beat-up sneakers. The silhouettes are baggy and shapeless, obscuring her body rather than highlighting it. Color palettes stay muted: maroons, dark greens, navy, gray, and black, with very little visual contrast. Brands like Champion, Nike, Adidas, Hanes, and Fruit of the Loom appear frequently, emphasizing mass market basics rather than individuality. These are clothes associated with comfort, dormancy, and emotional retreat. This era reflects Rue's unresolved grief over her father's death and her active substance abuse. The clothes function as insulation. They protect her from feeling too much, being seen, or engaging fully with the world. She often looks like she just rolled out of bed, reinforcing her dissociation and lack of interest in self-presentation. Costume designer Heidi Bivens intentionally avoids giving Rue cool outfits because Rue herself is uninterested in identity building. Her style communicates stagnation. She is stuck in time, emotionally frozen. Season 2: Collapse, Relapse, and Emotional Exposure. Season 2 does not radically change Rue's wardrobe, but it intensifies it. The clothing becomes even more repetitive and worn, sometimes appearing unwashed or layered carelessly. Hoodies are heavier, pants looser, silhouettes more slouched. Rue often looks physically swallowed by her clothes. The brands remain similar: Champion, Nike, Adidas, thrifted basics, but the styling feels more chaotic and careless. This period corresponds to Rue's deep relapse and emotional unraveling. Her clothing mirrors the loss of control and growing isolation. Notably, even as other characters evolve stylistically, Rue does not. The lack of progression is intentional. Addiction halts development. Her refusal to change visually reinforces how trapped she is psychologically. In episodes where her behavior becomes erratic or volatile, the clothes stay neutral, grounding the chaos in a stark realism. The absence of visual growth becomes its own statement. Special episodes: Vulnerability and Emotional Stripping. In Rue's special episode, Trouble Don't Last Always, her wardrobe is stripped down even further. Simple t-shirts, soft fabrics, and minimal layering dominate. The setting is intimate and static, and the clothing reflects that inward turn. There is no attempt at self-protection through excess fabric. Instead, the simplicity emphasizes emotional exposure. The clothes almost disappear, allowing the dialogue and internal struggle to take center stage. Overall style philosophy and character correlation. Rue's style is deliberately anti-fashion. Unlike Jules, Maddie, or Cassie, she does not use clothing to explore identity, sexuality, or control. Her wardrobe reflects a character who is not performing for the world. Instead, her clothes serve three primary psychological functions: comfort, concealment, and resistance to change. Oversized garments allow her to disappear. Repetition creates predictability and a life defined by chaos. Neutral colors reflect emotional numbness. The heavy use of athletic and loungewear brands underscores Rue's arrested development. These are clothes associated with childhood, home, and inactivity, not adulthood or aspiration. Even when Rue experiences moments of clarity or connection, her wardrobe remains largely unchanged, suggesting that emotional insight does not immediately translate into identity reconstruction. Rue eras as emotional, not aesthetics. Rue's eras are not marked by new looks, but by deeper entrenchment or a slight loosening of the same visual language. This is crucial to understanding her character. Growth for Rue is not just about self-expression, but about learning how to exist without anesthesia. The lack of stylistic evolution is the point. Her clothes tell the story of someone whose primary relationship is not with fashion, but with pain, memory, and the slow, uneven process of healing. In Euphoria, Rue's wardrobe is a quiet constant, a visual reminder that while others experiment with identity, Rue is fighting just to stay present. Cassie Howard. Cassie Howard's style in Euphoria is one of the most emotionally revealing wardrobes in this series. Her clothing consistently reflects vulnerability, romanticism, and a deep desire to be loved and protected. Unlike characters who use fashion as power or rebellion, Cassie uses it as reassurance, a way to appear soft, desirable, and non-threatening. Her aesthetic is rooted in the girl next door fantasy, but across seasons, that softness becomes increasingly fragile and performative. Season 1: Innocence, romantic idealism, and emotional exposure. In Season 1, Cassie's style is defined by soft pastels, floral prints, lace details, and